Hello, my name is Lola, and I'm going to be reacting to new Rockstars Stranger Things 4 Volume 2 breakdown Easter eggs and details you might have missed. And I will also be putting a link in the description down below where you can see my full reaction to every episode of Season 4 every episode Season 4 of Stranger Things. And if you want to like, comment, subscribe my channel, you can. For you don't want to, that's fine too. And let's see what new Rockstars has found in Stranger Things. Here we go.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Whitney Van Lanningham, and today we're diving headfirst through the gate back into the Upside Down. This time armed with a spiky trash can lid and the sweet, pure sound of metal flowing through
Hell
our
yeah.
veins. Or Kate Bush, depending on how you feel about Metallica.
Music! We need music! This is music!
Here's a breakdown of everything you might have missed while ugly cry screaming at Vecna during Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 2. Chapter 8, Papa, opens inside a memory of what happened in the Rainbow Room the day that 11 Thanos dusted 1/Henry/Vecna, sending him to an alternate dimension. This time, when we hear Papa ask, "What have you done?" it turns out that he doesn't believe 11 was responsible for the rampage. Instead, he asks her this because, as we find out later on, he was angry that Elle had banished his favorite experiment. Even after witnessing the carnage, Brenner was still single-mindedly focused on protecting Henry, solely because of his potential. As Steve tries to wake Nancy up in the Upside Down, the other teens are frantically searching through Eddie's trailer for any cassette tapes that might bring her back to Hawkins. Although Robin insists that examples of real music that Nancy will respond to include Madonna, Blondie, Bowie, and the Beatles, Eddie screams while holding Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind cassette that metal is real music. Hell yeah, Eddie, tell her. Eddie's bedroom actually has even more metal Easter eggs than I realized. He has a poster from Anthrax's Fistful of Metal album, a track listing tour poster for the death metal band Massacre, a Judas Priest Defenders of Faith poster, a Slayer flag, and a poster for Creator's Endless Pain. Eddie also has a couple of pretty sick vintage blacklight posters from the 70s. My favorite decor in his room, however, is the art torn out from his Advanced Dungeons & Dragons manuals. From the player handbook, we have a magic user studying, and from the monster manual, we have a fighter facing down a horde of monsters. Over in Russia, Joyce takes care of Hopper's Demogorgon wound. When he asks her how she's getting along with Murray, Joyce replies, "He's the Starsky to my Hutch." Starsky and Hutch was a 1970s cop show featuring police officers David Michael Starsky and Kenneth Richard Hutch Hutchinson. As the group searches for a way out of the prison and away from the monsters and guards, they next enter a room where more Demodogs and Demogorgons at varying stages of development are floating in tubes filled with yellow liquid, presumably in a comatose state. This scene is a direct pull from 1997's Alien Resurrection, which starred Winona Ryder alongside Sigourney Weaver. Ellen Ripley finds a lab full of xenomorphs stored in similar yellow vials where the US government has been harvesting aliens to study them. And this is where I started screaming at my TV, because unlike Ripley, Joyce and Hopper don't immediately douse all of them in fire. Scarier, however, is when they stumble upon the Mind Flayer's smoky particles trapped inside a glass cell alive. Joyce later tells the group that this means that a gate must currently be open in Hawkins, based on her knowledge from Season 3 that the Mind Flayer is only active when a portal between dimensions is open. Brenner and Owens bring 11 back to consciousness after her experience inside her darkest memory. When she gets up, she uses her newly reinstated powers to lift the 10,000-pound Nina into the air. A nod to the scene in Empire Strikes Back when Luke levitates his ship out of the muck in Dagobah. Will finally reveals the painting he's been working on for months. It's a drawing of the party fighting a red three-headed dragon. In Season 2, Mike reveals each member's D&D class, listing himself as a paladin, Will as a cleric, Dustin as a bard, Lucas as a ranger, and Elle as a mage. However, this painting seems to depict their Season 1 classes from their OG campaign, featuring Will the Wise as a wizard rocking robes like his cosplay in Season 3. In the ancillary Hawkins Middle School yearbook, the other boys' character names are revealed too. Dustin plays a dwarf named Nog, Lucas is a fighter called Sundar the Bold, and Mike supposedly has a DM PC called Tayer. When Jonathan glances in the rearview mirror, he can tell that Will's pep talk to Mike about 11 always needing him in her life was actually about his feelings for Mike as well. Where 11 is different and feels like a mistake because of her superpowers, Will experiences those feelings too due to his sexuality. As we all know, it's been heavily implied that Will is gay and clearly has unrequited feelings for his best bud. To help mask his feelings as Elle, Will says that Elle commissioned the painting, even though she explicitly said earlier in the season that she didn't know what he was painting. Back at the lab, Brenner explains to 11 that he always believed that Henry was out there hiding in the darkness, and that although he didn't know for sure that he was still alive, he's certain now. He also tells her that with every victim he takes, Henry is chiseling away at the barrier that exists between our worlds, and demonstrates his impending impending destruction by breaking a pencil. This analogy reminds me of the one that Mr. Clark performed for the boys on bikes at Will's funeral, when they asked him to explain how multiversal traveling could theoretically work in season 1. When Vecna releases Nancy, she tells the others what he showed her: Hawkins in ruins and a monster with a gaping maw alongside an army of other monsters. A fact to remember in the very last scene of the finale. Max realizes that the 4 chimes of Vecna's clock represent the 4 victims he needs to kill in order to open the gate. Like Will, she can now feel his presence. Fighting Demogorgons has a nasty habit of making you snacky, but one cannot battle with waffles alone. You need a tasty variety to roll nat 20 on one of these suckers, and that's where Baksu comes in. If you like a bun, and I'm gonna eat it. That's delightful. It's kind of like it's like lemony sort of. Oh man, sorry, I'm just gonna stand here and eat this because it's good. We've been receiving these boxes for a while now, and we all love them. The whole office gets stoked during the unboxing. Plus, every time you get your Boxu in the mail, you can feel good knowing that you're supporting the entire time. Interestingly, the number 4 has been staring us right in the face the entire time, hinting at this realization from day 1. Not only does Vecna's reveal happen in season 4, the whole crew is separated across the world in 4 groups. Hopper, Joyce, and Murray in group 1, Will, Mike, Jonathan, and Argyle in group 2, the Hellfire Hawkins gang in group 3, and 11, Brenner, and Owens in group 4. Also, if you check out the poster for this season, it's divided into 4 parts, connected by 4 cracks with a gate in the middle. Keep that imagery in mind because it comes back into play in the finale. As Hopper, Joyce, and Murray break out of prison, you can see a drawing of a penis hung up on the wall of the Russian guard's shack. I'm sorry, but throwing random dick art in the background of a serious scene might be my favorite Easter egg all season. As they escape, Twilight's Fire by the Red Army Choir plays. At Max's, the Hellfire Club plans a trip to the weapons store called Warzone, featuring a knockoff Rambo as their mascot. Max loans Eddie the Michael Myers mask from her Halloween costume in season 2 so that he can covertly steal his neighbor's Winnebago. This RV has a lot of interesting stickers, like Yosemite Sam from Looney Tunes, an anti-welfare sticker reading "Can't feed 'em, don't breed 'em," and another that says "America, love it or leave it." Then there's stickers from various destinations, like the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee, and Six Flags. Inside there are 2 stickers, one that reads "President Reagan, bringing America back," and the second that reads "Keep your city clean, eat a pigeon." As Steve drives off, Up Around the Bend by Creedence Clearwater Revival plays. In the back seat, Max tells Lucas her plan to hide in the light when Vecna comes for her. Without even knowing about Elle's conversation with Brenner about one hiding in darkness, she instinctively knows that she'll have more power in her happy memories. When Lucas asks if he's there in any of her best memories, she says, "That's presumptuous of you," which is the same thing she says to him and Dustin when they first meet in season 2.
That's presumptuous of you.
Presumptuous. That's a good thing, right?
As Steve and Nancy also talk about Steve's dream to explore the country with his 6 little nuggets in tow, Fire and Rain by James Taylor plays. At the War Zone, Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo by Rick Derringer plays. The bulletin board at the front of the store is plastered with wanted posters for the Hellfire Club. Even more horrifying, however, is when Robin sees her crush Vicky making out with some dude in a Purdue jacket. Robin flees, but not before we get a glimpse of Vicky's adorable Molly Ringwald 16 Candles-esque outfit. Inside the lab, Owens and 11 decide it's time for her to leave training behind to fight Vecna and save Hawkins, but Brenner insists that she stay. Yet another Empire Strikes Back parallel. Luke left Dagobah against the wishes of Yoda in order to save his friends as well. After Elle calls Brenner out for every lie, mistake, and bad choice he's made, such as making a murderous psychic a child caretaker, he stabs her in the neck with a sedative. When she wakes up, Elle has a shock collar on her neck, just like the one Brenner put on 2 as punishment in episode 7. After Lieutenant Sullivan's team breaches the Nina Project lab, he gives the orders, "Quarter and search by 2s. Hicks, take the upper level." These orders are directly lifted from a line said by Lieutenant Gorman in Aliens. As Brenner lay dying after 11 takes down the sniper's helicopter in one of the most badass moments of the show, he begs 11 to understand that he only wanted to help her. She ignores his request and leaves his manipulative ass in the desert to rot, along with the symbolic and literal shackles he used to control her. The camera spins out as Brenner dies in a crucifix pose, first representing the Christ-like way he sees himself, then inverts to depict him as an antichrist figure whose hubris brought Vecna's wrath into our world. But the camera continues to spin because, as Vecna later points out, Brenner is neither savior or monster. He's only a man. As the episode ends, the song from Part 2's trailer, Worlds Apart by Journey, begins to play, showing that not only is the Upside Down a separate world from Hawkins, this is the first time in the entire series that the characters won't be meeting up to share intel and fight alongside each other. Yet, even though these characters are worlds apart, they will still find a way to fight the Upside Down together. While Yuri tinkers with Katinka, Murray can be faintly heard in the background telling Antonov that he'd like it in Indiana, and that he has a stoic Clint Eastwood vibe. The only shirts available in the Peanut Butter Smuggler stash are Hulk Hogan merch. Like the cab driver from Chapter 2, Yuri's buyers are also apparently big Hulkamania fans. After years of waiting, we finally get to see Joyce and Hopper smooch! After learning that 11, Will, and Jonathan have gone to fight monsters yet again, Hopper decides that he, Joyce, and Murray will break back into the prison and kill the Mind Flayer to give the kids the upper hand. Murray responds nervously, "This is Dirty Dozen stuff," referencing the 1967 war movie about a group of soldiers convicted of terrible crimes that were sent on suicide missions just before D-Day. Not only was the Dirty Dozen based on a real group of rule-breaking demolition specialists instructed to operate behind deadly enemy lines called the Filthy 13, the story was also inspiration for the Suicide Squad. While the Hellfires map out the 4 phases of their plan to stop Vecna, the California crew pulls into a gas station to try to book 11 a last-minute plane ticket to Hawkins. Find Time to Let Me Know by Free Beer is playing, and 11 sees a AAA billboard depicting a family with a little girl riding piggyback on her mother. Not only does this trigger the memory of traveling into her own mother's mind and seeing Billy's mother inside his memories, she also realizes that she can piggyback through Max's memories to fight Vecna. Hilariously, the character that Argyle and Jonathan talk into letting them turn the shop's deep freezer into a sensory deprivation tank for a girl with telekinetic powers is named Argyle 2.0, according to the credits. Mike grabs sunglasses out of the van to make 11 a pair of blackout goggles, and when he does, you can see the car's greatest hits cassette tape on the dashboard. While preparing to enact phase 1 of their plan at the old Creel house, Lucas asks Max to go to the movies with him. In response, Max draws a picture of the two of them holding hands, sharing a tub of popcorn. When she turns off her headphones and calls out to Vecna, Max yells, "What are you waiting for?" Just like Jennifer Love Hewitt's character Julie screams in 1997's I Know What You Did Last Summer while egging on the killer to attack. Although Hopper, Joyce, and Murray manage to easily pass back through the prison gates, Murray says, "I don't know, Jim, I got a bad feeling about this," mirroring Han Solo's line from A New Hope. When they climb back into the tunnel, Hopper leaves the lid off the peanut butter jar, so to speak, which makes me think that it's possible that one of these monsters, or even a piece of the Mind Flayer, could have also broken out. After testing out 11's cool new shades, she and Argyle force Mike to try his first slice of pineapple pizza. If you listen closely, you can hear him shouting, "I am not a dog! I am not a baby!" And finally, "You're right, it's good." As Will and Jonathan have a heart-to-heart, 40 Miles Bad Road by Dwayne Eddy plays. Elle climbs into the freezer to help Max fight Vecna/Henry telepathically. Max flashes backwards through a series of memories from the past 3 seasons. Elle follows her, landing in Max's earliest memories of skateboarding. Although she tries to hide in the light, Max is confronted with the memory of Billy begging to be let out of the sauna from season 3, but she manages to land herself in the memory of the snowball dance from the season 2 finale. Atop his trailer in the Upside Down, Eddie begins to play the most metal solo of Master of Puppets ever to exist in this or any other world. Before he shreds, he dedicates the show to Chrissy. At the snowball, table decorations and balloons begin exploding with blood, and the flowers begin to wilt and die. Those exploding balloons were pulled from the It miniseries, when adult Richie is tormented in the library by It's bursting blood balloons. And of course, the dance's blue aesthetic, tainted by blood, looks similar to the prom and Carrie. The streamers are also reminiscent of a spider's web, signifying that Max has fallen into spider lover Vecna's trap and killing ground. The turntable is once again playing Every Breath You Take by The Police, as it was in season 2. But this time, the song changes to Ella Fitzgerald's Dream a Little Dream of Me, aka Victor Creel's Vecna song. If you look at the record, it still shows that The Police's album Synchronicity is rotating. Back at the skate park, 11 sees a table from the snowball with a record player on it, and before she joins Max in that memory, she sees the Mind Flayer looming over Hawkins inside the current memory she's in, just like it was hovering above Hawkins High in season 2. Vecna catches up to Max and reveals that he has known their plan all along, and that he's actively killing her loved ones across both dimensions. 11 fights back, but Vecna manages to transport her and Max to his red mindscape, where he keeps his victims' bodies, as she's strung up by tentacles next to Chrissy's corpse. Their conversation shows the vast differences between their two characters. While 11 tries to use empathy for their shared trauma to reach Henry, Henry has rejected humanity. Henry reveals more of his history to Elle, including that, as a child, he once drew a nearly identical Mind Flayer as the one that Will drew in season 2. The fact that both of these characters drew this creature decades apart is pretty freaky, and makes me think that next season will dive further into the parallels and connections between these two. When Henry first entered the Upside Down, its rocky terrain was devoid of human life. Instead, it was home to monsters, which is how he stumbled upon the Mind Flayer's shapeless, smoky form. Using his powers, he gave the Mind Flayer its spidery shape and began his plot to destroy mankind. Although Vecna manages to break Max's arms, legs, and eyeballs, Elle blasts him backwards in time time to stop him from finishing her off, empowered by Mike's words of love and encouragement. The tentacles drop Robin, Steve, and Nancy. Robin says, "I don't believe in a higher power or divine intervention, but that was a miracle," which sounds extremely similar to Jules' explanation of divine intervention and miracles to Vincent after narrowly avoiding being shot in 1994's Pulp Fiction. As y'all know, Maya Hawke's mom, Uma Thurman, also starred in this movie. As Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush begins to play, Eleven uses her powers against one, and Murray fire blasts the Demogorgons Hopper and Joyce trapped, wounding the hive mind. When Hopper decapitates the last monster standing, the sword he uses is Conan the Barbarian's sword from the 1982 movie. When Steve's Molotov cocktail hits Vecna's unconscious body in the Upside Down, his form within the red mindscape is consumed by black smoke. Nancy channels her inner Sarah Connor and shotguns Vecna until he flies out the window, landing on the street below, still burning. When they run outside later, his body has disappeared. This mirrors the ending of 1978's Halloween, when Michael Myers is also shot and falls backwards out of a window. Like Vecna, Myers' body is missing, setting up his return in future sequels. In a death scene even more heartbreaking than Bob Newhart's, Eddie passes away from his Demobat wounds. During his final conversation with Dustin, "When It's Cold I'd Like to Die" by Moby plays, as he tells him he loves him before fading away. Eddie also has a bat tattoo on his arm, which is how I should have known that he was doomed from the start. Equally traumatizing, however, is Max's deathbed. She cries and screams that she isn't ready to die as Lucas holds her. When the clock strikes 4 times, Robin, Steve, and Nancy realize that Max is dead, and the gate where her body lay begins to crack open.
Yeah, they really did Eddie and Max wrong in this episode, man. Like, ugh. It's like, man, why did they have to, like, kill off Eddie, man, and do that to Max, man? It's so messed up.
Triggering the other 3 gates to open as well, forming a giant X through Hawkins. Remember that poster? This is like a gigantic version of that. As the portal hits Jason, it splits his body in 2, which is kind of ironic because that's how he described hangovers to Lucas after their basketball victory party. Eleven uses her powers and her memories with Max from season 3 to bring Max back.
So his death was pretty much foreshadowed there.
To life. And we flash forward to 2 days later. In Max's hospital room, Lucas has hung her drawing of the 2 of them above her bed and is reading a copy of Stephen King and Peter Straub's The Talisman. This story actually has a ton of parallels to Stranger Things, including a boy called Jack who can travel between dimensions and has the ability to remain alive in another of his alter's bodies even if he dies in a different universe. The passage Lucas reads Max is about Jack encouraging another character to open their eyes. And I think that these 2 plot similarities might give us a hint of what to expect for season 5. When Elle visits her in the hospital, she takes Max's hand, closes her eyes, and enters her mind. Although we don't see her find Max in the darkness on this trip, it's important to note that Eleven now has the ability to travel into someone else's consciousness without a sensory deprivation tank, a blindfold, or static noise. Kicking one's ass has made her stronger. The Hawkins High Gym has been turned into an emergency shelter, so Robin, Steve, and Dustin volunteer to help. While Robin makes PB&Js with Vicky, who is a fan of Fast Times after all, Dustin makes his way to the missing persons bulletin board where Eddie's uncle is replacing his missing flyer because someone has drawn devil horns and a pentagram on the old one. Also on the board is a flyer for a missing woman named Janet Howard who disappeared at Bradley's Big Buy, the store where Eleven stole Eggos in season 1, implying that the market was one of the portal's casualties. Dustin comforts Mr. Munson with stories of Eddie's kindness, even in death, and gives him the guitar pick necklace that Eddie used to play his final concert.
Chrissy, this is for you.
At Hopper's cabin that was wrecked by the Mind Flayer's meat form in season 3, the kids begin to clean their new hiding spot for Eleven. Argyle says,
I mean, I get we gotta hide Supergirl and all, but this isn't exactly like a fortress of solitude, man.
referencing Superman's headquarters in DC Comics. In the house, you can spot an old box of Eggos on the counter and the game Shoots and Ladders on the coffee table, a callback to the kinds of board games she used to play with Hopper. As she enters her room, she once again leaves the door open 3 inches and finds the empty Coke bottle that she and Max used to play Spin the Bottle with her powers back in season 3. When she reunites with Hopper, she tells her dad that his hair looks bitchin', callback to the word she learned back in season 2. Unfortunately, the Byers and the Hoppers reunion is cut short when the Upside Down spores begin to fall from the sky. If you recall, it was established back in season 2 that long-term exposure to the spores makes humans incredibly sick. So the fact that it's rapidly spreading across Hawkins and eventually the globe is really not looking good for the town's future. Like the pumpkin vines that rotted when the Upside Down leaked from Hawkins' lab in into Meryl's pumpkin farm, the field of flowers behind Hopper's cabin is quickly consumed by the Upside Down. From the gates in Hawkins rise numerous clouds of dark, smoky particles that look similar to the Mind Flayer's original form before Vecna molded it into a spider. The song that plays out the credits is Spellbound by Susie and the Banshees, the lyrics of which say, "Following the footsteps of a ragdoll dance, we are entranced, spellbound." Like Vecna and Metallica warned Eleven, even though they've found comfort in their victories, his unstoppable plan is already in motion. This season's ending mirrored Empire Strikes Back in more ways than just Eleven and Luke both abandoning their training to save their friends. Episode 5's ending also shows our Star Wars heroes defeated but mostly alive, as they band together in preparation to continue the fight. The Duffer Brothers even confirmed in an interview with The Wrap that Season 5 would be a lot like Return of the Jedi, but that we'd have to wait until we finish Season 4 to understand why. Like Max in her coma, Han Solo is also frozen in carbonite, and the opening of Return of the Jedi largely centered around his rescue and revival, as I suspect Season 5 will for Max. Unlike Luke Skywalker, however, Eleven has both of her original hands intact and delivered a hefty blow to Vecna, while Luke was left handless, lightsaberless, and clinging to a space antenna. I've got a good feeling that if Luke can come back and save the galaxy from his daddy issues, Eleven's got Vecna's defeat on lock. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Whitney Puppy, follow New Rockstars, subscribe to New Rockstars for more analysis of everything you love, and thanks for watching. Bye!
Yeah, I can't wait to see Season 5. But it's like, man, like, look at how long we had to wait between the time of Season 3 and Season 4. And that was because of the pandemic. You know, we've had to wait like almost 2 years. We probably might need to wait, hopefully not another 2 years for the next season. Well, that's my reaction to Stranger Things Season 4, Volume 2, breakdown and Easter egg details you might have missed by New Rockstars. Everyone, take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.